Good to go?
Good to go. Hey, everybody,
All righty.
welcome. Welcome to our Learning at Lunch. This is part one of our four-part early literacy series with Beth Poss, and there she is. We are excited to have her. I know she has a lot to get through, so I'm not going to be on for very long, but thank you for participating in our webinars. Keep looking at our website. We have bunches of new ones we're just trying to finalize now, so we'll keep updating those as we go, and that's at4nj.org. As we go through, I'm going to turn off everyone's mics, and if your camera pops up, I'm going to turn that off too, so don't be offended, but feel free to participate in the chat window. And with that said, Beth, welcome. Take it away.
Hey, everybody. We have a half an hour, so I'm going to try to find a balance between not talking too fast and sharing enough information. So we'll see how that goes. The slide deck is available to everybody. It's at bit.ly /NJ early reading, all lowercase. And on the next slide, I have a, where's my mouse? Thank you. On the next slide, there's a QR code. So you got that too. And let's let that little thing go away. So just to put it out there, like my disclosures and everything, I recently retired from Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland. And I am currently working for Lesson Picks, but this is not a Lesson Picks event, although I will be showing some Lesson Picks things. So I just want to put it out there. I am paid by Lesson Picks. I'm a member of the editorial board for ATOB, which is the journal through ATIA, and we are in the process right now of getting submissions for that. So if somebody has an awesome article that you want to write on communication or literacy for the assistive technology community, reach out to me. You can find me at posbeth@gmail. You can tweet me at posbeth. And then when I got Instagram, I finally figured out how to put my first name first, and I'm Beth Poss on Instagram. So again, bit.ly NJ early reading. And this is part one of 4 that we're going to do around early learning. So there'll be lots that you could take away and put for older students, but I feel like we don't often talk about that early learning piece that much. All right, so, there's always that debate. Oh, we have not been granted. I promise I will thank you for seeing that. I will go in and do that as soon as this is over, so just put that down, and I'm so sorry I didn't do that. I'm trying to figure out too many things at once, and this is such a short time, so just give me a moment and I will get that up there. In the meantime, write that down or take a picture of that, and it will be open in just a minute. So there's always been this debate, right? Like, should little kids have technology? Okay, and there's a whole nother thing I could do about, there's a whole nother thing. I know people are going to keep saying this, so I am just going to go in and share this so that everybody can have it. I am so sorry. Let's do this now so that everybody gets it. Anyone with the link can view. Done. Awesome. All right, you guys all have the link now. Let's get back in and present and make it smaller, and we're good to go. Okay, little things. Because we're talking about little things. So these are 2 things that I saw on Facebook, like in the last couple of years. There is no app to replace your lap. Read to your child. I agree 100%. Today, 2-year-olds can unlock a phone, open and close their favorite apps all by themselves. When I was that age, I was eating dirt. So we're going to find a balance of technology and no tech. I feel like I have a link in here probably to some research about what you can, about that balance. We're not going to talk about that right now, but I just want to acknowledge it's out there. All right, so I've got in front of me some letters, and I would love it if you guys would just put in the chat, how could you sort those letters? We're going to talk about some alpha. How could you sort those letters out? And I'm going to show you the app for this in just a minute. But if people could, think of some ways, if anyone could type in that chat, how you could sort those letters. And I'm going to, while people are doing that, people are saying uppercase, lowercase, ABC order. Let me slide this puppy over. You guys should be able to see that. All right. So this is my iPad. and lines and curves. Oh, I like that. Vowels and consonants, right. So this is an app called, it's a really tricky name, Magnetic Alphabet. The name of the app is called Magnetic Alphabet. If you search in the App Store, it's called Magnetic Alphabet. So you're right, we could just do it by colors. We could put all of these. This is such a great way to start out talking about letters with kids, right? We could do it by colors. We could put all the different color ones together. That's something kids are so used to doing. We could talk about uppercase and lowercase if kids aren't there yet. We could talk about, well, how about you sort it by the letters of your name? I made sure I put all of the letters of my name in there. So I've got Beth over there, right? I could sort it by my curvy ones and my straight ones, my ones that have bumps and my ones that don't have bumps. This is such a great way to point out to students the features of letters. And so this is one of my favorite apps to do that kind of thing with. And then we could get into the whole thing of like, we could be making words with this and all of that. I'm going to show you really quickly. I'm going to flip over to one different magnetic letter app. It is I have to remember what this one is called. I'll put a link in for it later. This one actually talks. Sometimes I like this one better with older kids, but I'm not really sure if I love it as much with younger kids. And there's nothing, so it's saying C, A, ka. It'll give me that. T, cat. So it just said cat, if you didn't hear it. It has that, it'll do C, it'll do ka, t, which is really cool. But for young kids, we want families doing this together. We want teachers and educators doing this together. And so it's really cool that it has that text-to-speech capability, but with younger kids, my preference would actually be for them to do it without the bells and whistles. And so that's just my personal perspective on it. Certainly there would be kids that this might be really appropriate with as they're starting to be able to do some independent practice and get that feedback about words that they might be creating. So I just wanted to show you guys that. I'm gonna pull this back off the screen and hit my next slide. So alphabetic knowledge and phonological awareness are probably the two most important things to focus on with young children, with anybody learning to read, right? But really getting into that alphabetic knowledge and phonological awareness. And so when we talk about alphabetic knowledge and phonological awareness for that matter, it's about exposure and practice. And we talk about the alphabet. We want it to be repeated and varied. So we don't want simply like flashcards or anything like that would be the single thing. Not that there's anything wrong with using those once in a while, but we want lots of different ways for kids to be able to play with the alphabet. And it needs to be lots of times with it. Letters have to be taught not once or twice as far as like a letter of the week. And so I want to show you something, but many, many times. So one of my favorite books is called No More Letters of the Week. I have the title of it down there by the authors, by McKay and Teal. It's really, if you're looking in my picture of me, whatever, it's not a fat book. It's really skinny, but it really talks about that if we do a letter of the week, we only get through each letter twice or once by March, I think it is, okay? We don't get through it enough. It's not enough time. We need to get through the letters quickly and repeat them over and over again, okay? So more like letter of the day or multiple letters of the day. It's okay to focus on a letter at a time, but doing a letter of a week is not gonna get you there. It's not gonna give enough exposure and opportunities. We also need to make sure that when kids have the letter, that we move on. And that's where that differentiation in small groups comes in, but move on when they've got that letter. We don't need to keep, if they've got B, we don't need to keep going. We also don't need to do it in alphabet order. There is no really best order of the alphabet, and there's some different things in this book. There's some different things in Karen Erickson's book. Yes, my Big Mac just said he was still hungry. Comprehensive Literacy Instruction for All, which talks about some ideas and thoughts about orders to teach it, but there isn't really any best order. But it is important to know that children find the letters of their name to be most salient. So think about that when you're doing focusing on a particular individual student, or even thinking about the first letters of the name of their names as the first letters you may start with your group of students. The next kind of thing that we talk about with phonological awareness is that idea of segmenting words into syllables. So making sure that we can give opportunities for understanding that that it's bubble, how many in there, cat, and clapping it out and having things. And I'm going to show you some different books and some different activities that you can work on with some of those things. And then rhyming. So this is just a really fast overview of a few of the most important things around alphabetic knowledge and phonological awareness. So with rhyming, we need to know do two words rhyme, so cat and hat. Identify which words don't rhyme with others in a set, so cat and hat and dog. And which word in our set rhymes with another word. So of those three words, which ones are the rhyming words? And then being able to generate rhymes. So just to have, thanks Jenna for putting the link in there. So just to have that kind of overview, quick overview, this is 30 minutes, right? And we're like almost halfway through of those things. So now let's get to like the meat. So we want to make sure we are giving access to lots and lots of books for shared and independent reading. Shared, where you're reading with kids, and for kids to be able to explore books on their own. And I am not a fan for young kids of lots of bells and whistles of hyperlinked, movement-based, all this kind of stuff of digital books. I do like lots and lots of digital books, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite. There are some resources here. We're going to take a look at Epic, which is free. Right now it's free to teachers, and it's actually free to families, I think, through June 30th at least. And once we get back in classrooms, again, I'm going to show you some things where you could be using this. You can share, you create lists with students and be able to do it with them in remote learning. But there's also Libby, which is an Overdrive, which is the free resource to your public libraries. And so there's a link in there. If you click on that link when you've got the slide deck, you'll be able to get to that really easily, and be able to download different things. And I'll show you. I hope I'll be able to show you a book on here. And then First Book is another really excellent resource. So as an educator, First Book supports students and educators who don't have enough money to buy the books that they need for their students, right? And so it's discounted, it's books that are donated by publishers or given to by very low cost. And so you could get like $100 worth of books for like $30. So it's a great resource, and it's supported by a lot of different charitable organizations that provide funding for it. So those are three resources. We're going to go ahead and take a look at Epic, and let's go on. Oops, let's go ahead and take a look at Epic, which I have up here. There we go. So Epic, if you guys have not seen it, is a digital library with hundreds, if not thousands, of books at all different levels. It has read to me books, and we're going to look at a couple of those. But again, my preference is not that it's bad for kids to listen to a book that a computer is reading, but that for the family member or the teacher to be reading, or for kids to simply be exploring and making sense of what they're seeing on a page. Nothing wrong with the read to me part, so it's great, especially for some of our kids when we want to give them that extra opportunities to hear the text, but it doesn't have to be. So I'm just going to go in and show a couple of books. And actually, just to show you, like, I don't have a lot of students. I'm not in a classroom. I see a couple of kids privately that I've been doing some literacy work with. And then I have like my own kid in here, Morgan, who is 22. So she's like a fake kid in here, right? But this is where you get your roster, and you can see everything that's going on with your students, and you can see what books they've read, and you can assign them books and all of that. But I'll go back into, let me just go back into this, and I'll take a look at a book and a book and why I might like that book. So I'm going to take a look at Slither Snake. So this is a nonfiction book, informational text. Oh, I don't want it to be reading. So that's an example of the read it to. So it will do the reading, it will read it, it will highlight it as it's reading. But we're going to take a look at it not that way. I can see the age range. I don't really care about that so much. I can see the level, which might be important if I'm looking, you know, at kids. I can also, it gives me when I have the read there, it gives me the ability to have things highlighted. But let's just take a look at this. So let's say I was working with a student and we'd hit that letter S as what we were doing. This would be a perfect book if we had our letter of the day was S, and we could be looking all over for S's in ours. And one of the things that I really love about it is that as I move my mouse over a word, it will enlarge that word. It'll give a little zoom on that word. So even when we're not reading it aloud, but that's about, between that and the read aloud, is about as jazzy as it gets. And that's a good thing, that it's not lots of bells and whistles, that there's not a million things that I'm clicking on. Okay, the research really shows it's not the bells and whistles, it's just access to books. Okay, that the bells and whistles can be a distraction from the literacy component. Right? So I can go through there and we can read that together. We can look for all the S's that we're finding for, right? Oh, there's an S, and oh, look, there's another S, right? We've got all of those things and we can get through that. I'm going to close that book out. And that's at a very simple level, right? That was a level G, but we could be looking for S, or we could be looking for our rhymes, right? We've got Splat the Cat. And again, this is a book that I could have read if we wanted to. And again, there's nothing wrong with that for certain times, but that's not what I would look for my default, right? And so we can go in through this. Whoops, let's go back. I was actually obviously mid reading it, but what a cute book. So we can see in Epic, we've got that range from, and they're trade books. They're what we call trade books, right? They're a wide variety of different books and authors and familiar authors. So all the things that we could be looking for, like Splat and Cat, right? Some other things. Let me take you into, I'm gonna go back over to my iPad and show you another book. So this is one that I got from our public library, right? It's through my library. I can have it in my Kindle. As a Kindle download or as the Libby download, right? I could read it on the computer, I could have it on an iPad, I could have it on a Kindle, on an Android. It's available in lots of ones. This is a great one. One Big Pair of Underwear. We can already tell it's a rhyming book, right? Two Brown Bears Who Hate to Share. So what a great opportunity as you're reading this to point out the rhyming opportunities in the book, okay? I'm gonna go back over, let's move this out of the way and go back over to my, there we go. So another thing that's really critically important when we're looking at books for kids is that we are honoring and celebrating cultural and linguistic diversity. So another one of my favorite sites to go and get digital books from, again, nothing jazzy with these. These are really, I'll show you as jazzy as they get, is our is through Unite for Literacy. Again, it has a few different features. It does have some narration available. It does have narration available for the books, but what I really love about it is that it shows a wide variety of individuals in it, and with all of the languages that it has. So let me go ahead and open this one. And I have it set right now, I believe, to ASL. Yep, I do. So I could have it read aloud in English. I do like the read aloud when I tell families about this, because sometimes we do have families who don't have the literacy skills they need themselves as parents to be able to read aloud to their children. So that can be very helpful. And I can have the American Sign Language with this, so you can see that. I could make my screen bigger. I'm making it a little smaller right now because I want the captioning to be there, but you can see that. So again, where I've got that American Sign Language, I can also, let me go into just the different parts of it. You can see these are all of the different languages that this could be available in, okay? So all of the different languages that it can be narrated in. It is available text-wise. All of the books are available text-wise in either Spanish or in English. So just taking a look at this book for another moment. And again, I can have that sign there. Okay, so this is my hair and we see that. But again, there's a lot of diversity in these books, and we need to make sure, is the ASL available within the site? Yes, it's built into it. So that, like, if my screen was a little blown up a little bigger, we'd be seeing both parts of it, right? So these are my eyes, she signs, these are my eyes. It's built into it. It's not in every one of their books, but it's in a lot of their books. And just to kind of take you out to their whole site, they have hundreds of books. I don't know the total number that they have. Just taking a little bit to load. And I can have it in Spanish, in English. There's different categories. They're all short, simple books. They're very, there's ones that can be very age respectful for older readers, but really wonderful. And again, different ones that they're all available in Spanish or English as the text. If I go look at all books, Spanish or English as the text, I could switch over and have the entire site be in Spanish. Okay, so the written languages are English and Spanish, and then the narrated language, there's a number of narrated languages in there. So again, Parts of Me was the title of that one. Yep, thank you. Thank you for people that are monitoring the chat for me. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Whew. So we also want to talk about accessibility, right? And I know people are very familiar, people may be very familiar, maybe not, with the Tar Heel Reader site. And I wanted to talk about that, not just as, and we're going to talk about it again on Tuesday from a writing perspective, but I wanted to talk about it from a reading perspective because, so I have it set, you see on my screen right now, I have it set with, so my settings here underneath this, right? I can have it, the speech, I'm not having the speech on there, that's not what I want right now, but I can have the color set. So it could be white background with other color, right? So I can have page color and text color. So I wanted to show that high contrast on there. It is also completely switch accessible. So with that back and that next, it is ready to go with different switches. It can be downloaded as a PowerPoint as well. And so to be able to share that. So this is one where it's focusing on the letter G. Again, we talked about that importance of that alphabet. This is a giraffe, he's tall, can we find that G? This is a gorilla, he is black. This is a gate, it can open and close. We're building vocabulary, we're giving kids opportunities. So this site is tarheelreader.org. And again, everything is linked in the slides. So all of these different things that we can have opportunities and to provide those opportunities. So this is completely switch accessible and it has built-in supports for individuals with visual impairments. So Pictello is another one of my favorites that has some accessibility features to it. And I'm gonna slide that over. It is an iOS, app. You are creating your books in it. So harder soft G touch. Well, so it's going to depend as far as like the G. Sometimes if you're talking about it from that reading standpoint, you're just that letter alphabetic knowledge. It's not going to really make a difference. You're looking for that letter G in the text, right? So seeing if those kids can identify that letter. So Pictello, you would make your books in it, and we'll talk about it again with the writing piece. Oh, if I click on my screen, but it's on my iPad, it doesn't do anything.
Like dogs.
Okay, I have to actually move it on my iPad, right? And so again, this was a book that I made with some images of my own dogs, some images of some other dogs from, these happen to be lesson picks, but it's that opportunity for that, can we keep finding the word dog in there, right? So very simple, very clean, and very easy. And that ability to have a book that we could create that's going to be appealing to students at their level. And sometimes when we talk about things that are a little bit overwhelming, keeping track of my time. So when we talk about this technology piece, I just wanted to make sure people had an awareness of what's going to make an effective early childhood app. We like it to be open-ended, promote literacy without drill and kill. Like, I haven't shown you anything, and I'm not going to show you anything where there's a right answer or a wrong answer. That's not what literacy is about. That we want it to be engaging, encourage movement. I'm going to show you something in a bit in the 4 minutes that I have left. Encourage interactions, and it's culturally diverse and free of stereotype and meets the developmental needs. So it's not just high tech, right? We've got low tech things too. So I'm going to give you a glimpse into my world of my office, which is like a little bit scary. Okay, so I've got over here some low-tech stuff too. All right, so we've got one of my favorite books, I Went Walking by Sue Williams, and I printed out some puppets for that. So, and you use what we're in a pandemic, and I'm not going out much. Oh, sorry, he fell down. And I'm not going out much, so I had some dowels that I had hanging around, right? And I had some tubs of Play-Doh, and I stuck them in the tubs of Play-Doh so that they would be much more accessible for somebody to be able to grasp and be able to hold than like the popsicle stick thing, right? So they could stand up and have that. So some simple things to accessibility. We got our magnetic letters so we could talk about what those words are. We'd be reading our book, our low-tech book, but let's show some high-tech stuff too, right? To go along with that. So the idea there, and I am going to go a little bit over, folks. If you have to leave, you have to leave, and that's okay. So I am going to show you some high-tech stuff, and the high-tech is all free for you today. It is in some things in Lesson Picks, but these are things you do not have to be a Lesson Pick subscriber to download some of the things that I'm going to show you. So those I Went Walking puzzles, puppets will be free, and a couple of other things in there. And this slide deck I made. So I just want to show you. Actually, I don't. That one's live, but I don't need to do it through that. Let's do it. Let me pull it up here. But that is linked in there. It's on OneDrive. Okay, so here I have a PowerPoint slide deck. I'm using a lot of my real estate. Like this is what you usually see with it, but I'm using a lot of my real estate. I've populated this with things from images from Lesson Picks. This is not about how to do that. I made a communication board, and I put it up there so I'd have access. I've got my core vocabulary and I've got my fringe vocabulary, and we could do a walkthrough of that book, right? The boy went walking, and what did he see? And we could see if we could remember what we learned in the book, and then we can move it around. It's about getting kids to talk about the books. And it says that it goes to 11:45, 12:45. I'm going to keep going until I finish, and whoever's here, that's awesome. If you guys have to leave, that's okay too. So we'd be able to talk about it. And he went walking, and what does he see now? And we could, again, I hid things behind because that's what the book is. It's about predicting what's that animal. Do they remember? It's about having those conversations. It's about why you think it might be. It's not about what's right and wrong. I'm going to take you to my next slide just so you can see. We can still work with some words here, right? So we could have the boy, and I can have my word for boy, and we could talk about that, right? We've still got our communication board up here. Lots of things that we can manipulate and move around. I could do a little talking about letter sounds, right? Like duh, da, 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 duh, duh, duh. Which one of these words starts with that sound duh, right? So we could talk about, does pig start with duh? Maybe not. Does cow start with duh? Maybe not. Does dog? Oh, it sure does, right? So we could do all of that conversations. Again, I have my communication board. I do want to talk to you about why I could have put my communication board on the wall behind me for this distance learning. And while I think there's so much creativity going on right now with the virtual backgrounds, I do want to have a caution, particularly with young children, that you don't make, if I had my communication board as my virtual background behind me the whole time, it could end up being more of a distraction than it's worth. So if I want especially if I want the students to be looking on their own communication board. So I might have my communication board here, like I got my low-tech version of a PRC one here, right? Where I've got some mast, or I could have it flipped over and have the whole 9 yards, but not upside down. And I have to tell you, this was one of my favorite finds at ASHA and ATIA this year, were these little guys. So they were from PRC and Saltillo. So they're little cubes, right? So for just some really simple things for kids to be able to say, I like that, I want more, as we're doing our book reading. So again, to get kind of those things, those fun things in. Oh, you know what? You all just didn't see that at all because I didn't move my iPad over. There we go. Let's look at that again. Sorry, it's worth the extra second that it takes to do that. So there is these little keychain movable guys. I just love them. They're so much fun, right? Like, I stop, slow. I want more. Or your little low-tech boards. This is one from PRC, which has the flip side with the full. You know, you use what you got at home. And so to make that, I've got my, of course, my lesson picks board here, right? But I can take pictures and images of things and put them, I know y'all are seeing my lap and my floor now, that's too bad. Okay, there we go. But I can take images of things and put them in my PowerPoints or put them in my Google Slides and be able to have that to move around. I am gonna jump to another, so I wanted to make sure you guys saw this. So another form, like with the ABC boards, think about movement, getting kids moving when you're talking about it. So action ABCs. A is for ask a question. B is for bend down and touch the ground. And we'll talk about this in the writing one on Tuesday, but I've got a place for kids to be able to be writers in this, okay? C is for catch the ball. And then we also have, let's go back to the slides. Too many windows. I have these as puzzle set. So that would be something you could email to a family right now, given the situation we're in, or drop it off in your worksheet packets, or when you get back in your classrooms, you can actually have it. These are both free downloads in Lesson Picks. You can click on them. You do not have to be a Lesson Picks subscriber to be able to get to those at all. So it's, if you want to, that's awesome, but this is not what this session is about. Oh gosh, I'm actually not doing too badly. I'm gonna slow down just for a second. I'm coming back here to this slide. So I wanted to talk about like that importance of having in your classrooms that cultural and linguistic diversity. So making sure, like I have chicka bum bum, which is just the Spanish version of chicka boom boom. And I'm going to show it to you guys over here. Let's get this over here. I have it over here, right? And I've got my chicka bum bum. Yeah, you guys can see it's a little glary. I'm sorry about that. Just the lighting here. So I've got my chicka bum bum in Spanish, which I am not going to embarrass myself with my horrible accent to be able to read it to you all right now. And then I have magnetic letters. Old cruddy, because it's what I had, and sometimes it's important to show families these days that it's okay. You're using the old cruddy, it's been in the oven pizza tray too for my magnetic letters. But you know what I've got in the background? I've got a printed out picture of that coconut tree, so we can follow that book. Okay, I'm going to show you the high-tech version of that really quickly. And yes, if somebody could put, if Naomi or Mike could put the link in there for the, to register for the writing one on Tuesday, that would be awesome. So I'm actually gonna go, did I download that? I didn't. Oh, there we go. So here we go. So here's an activity. Again, this was designed in Lesson Picks. You will not be able to do this particular one for free because of the, you need to have the Lesson Picks add-in. You'd need to be a subscriber. You could make your own spinner board. There's other ways you can do this. So we could talk about spinning. And then comes up, I'm not logged in, and that's why it's got the watermark on there. That's okay. And then we'd be able to click on that and put the letter R on the tree. Should be putting that letter R on the tree. Let's give it a second. Might have to drag it over. So we'd be able to put the letter, it's because I'm not, there we go. It's going on, it's got the watermark. It's okay, we're not worrying about that because we don't have time, go away. So we could talk about the letters on the tree and what's gonna happen and all of that. So those opportunities there's opportunities for students who need alternative access. This could be set up as a simple click for a student to do that spinner with their single switch to be able to hit that. So just some different ideas there. I'm going to show you all one more completely low-tech idea that is not my idea, but it is, I love it. I think it's awesome. And these are squishy books. I have links in here, both with the picture and here, for detailed information about squishy books. So there's a couple of fabulous SLPs that Carol Zangari had on her Practical AAC blog that wrote about it. And what I love about squishy books, they're homemade, they're tactile, they're three-dimensional, they use real objects. You use Ziploc bags to put them in. You can have hair gel inside or other things that will squish. You could have just all different kinds of objects with it. So there's lots of wonderful ideas on there. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to look at my iPad and see, was there something else that was really important that I wanted to make sure I showed you? If not, I didn't do too bad time-wise. I really did speak kind of fast, didn't I? But I hope you guys are taking away from this that it's about it's about those opportunities for alphabet exploration, lots of alphabet exploration, about rhyming and looking and finding rhymes and understanding those rhymes. It's about open-ended conversations about books, not, can you tell me what this is? So it's not about, if I go back to my PowerPoint here, it's not about touch dog, find pig. It's about, oh, he went walking and who did he see? And that's open-ended. Oh, you're right, he saw a cat. Okay, and oh, let's talk about, the sounds that make. I see a cat, k, right? It's all of that kind of open-endedness to it. It's about having high-tech and low-tech and making sure that that low-tech and high-tech is accessible to a wide range of students. So I am open for any questions that anybody has in the chat. I think I talked a little too fast, so I apologize for that. I'm going to take a deep breath right now and slow down just a little bit. And if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to take them.
Beth, that was awesome. I'll talk so it gives you a chance to take a breath. It was not too fast at all. It was great.
I'm gonna look in the chats just to see if anybody had questions that I.
Sarah had asked, where did you get those cubes? And they were at ATIA, right?
Yeah. So these were giveaways that were from. I'll just hold it up. There we go. These were giveaways from Saltillo, PRC and Saltillo, and so hopefully they'll have more. Someday we'll be face-to-face at conferences again. But honestly, you could make this kind of thing yourself. So this is a cube that from Lesson Picks. It's one of our templates. And I could do the same thing where I could have some different cubes stacked up. I could take an existing cube that I have and just slap on pictures, right? So it doesn't, I could take blocks, wood blocks, this is great for, cut out your pictures, glue them on some wood blocks that you have, and have kids stack them up or line them up to make sentences. So great for communication. I am going to do a whole nother half hour on communication. I can't even keep track. We're going to do one on problem solving and one on communication, and I don't know the order that's in.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Next week, the week after.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I'll have more like tips and ideas for the communication side of things. But these are super cute, and if you don't have them, I think you could probably, find things that you could make them for.
Yeah, it made me think right away of those imitation Legos they sell at the dollar store. And you could do the same thing. You could glue the pictures around them, and you could probably even connect a keychain ring to it if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what they have. Somebody, Howard asked, does Lesson Picks have Hebrew prayer? Lesson Picks translates into all the languages that Google Translate supports, and Hebrew is one of those. And we do have some images that relate to Judaism, so there might be images that it would certainly translate anything you were making into Hebrew, though, Howard. So will these be recorded if we sign up? That's a question I don't know.
And I know that question and I know that answer. Yes, Karen, these are being recorded and we will send the link. We will post them to our YouTube channel, which if you go to YouTube and search, it's ATACNJ, ATACNJ. We will post the recordings up there and we'll send them to everybody. We'll send the link to everybody who registers also.
And Karen asked for the Unite ASL books. Would the ASL option be in the languages option in the right-hand corner? So yes, so there's, oh, that's not it. So there's, and I'm usually like when I go into it, let's just do the Unite for Literacy, the whole thing. It will give you, when you go in and you look at the at the narration languages. So if I go in here, I can look at the narration, and I can choose by, I can choose whichever, like if I wanted it to be in Vietnamese instead, it would be in Vietnamese, and that would be what would be narrated in Vietnamese, right? So now it would be in there. It would, it's saying it, you can't hear it. For the ASL, if I choose ASL, right there, again, it comes up with the video. So regardless, and Unite for Literacy is free. Epic is free to teachers and currently free to students and families. Tar Heel Reader is totally free. So, and then almost everything I showed you in Lesson Picks today is a free download in Lesson Picks, even though Lesson Picks does have a $36 a year subscription fee. But the things that I put in here today, the links you'll see to things are free, even if you don't have a Lesson Picks subscription. I do want to say I put in a link for this, the whole I Went Walking PowerPoint. I want to give just a caveat. It is editable. I gave you edit rights because you need to be able to have edit rights to move the things around. Otherwise, it only goes into a slideshow. Please, 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 please make a copy of this before you do something with it, or you mess it up for every other person that has access to it. So I put that right there, like make a copy of this before, or you will mess it up for others that has been shared with, okay?
Don't be that person.
Right, don't be that person. I have an original, of course, of my own, right? But please don't be that person. The images were used with permission from Lesson Picks, but you may not go and copy them and paste them into other resources. They are simply for this one. And it is only set for a limited amount of time. You can make that copy of it for yourself and then you'll have it, but this won't be up forever. But again, all the other resources that I shared in Lesson Picks are free downloads in there. So you guys are so welcome. And Unite for Literacy is free. Unite for Literacy is free. Tar Heel Reader is free. Epic is free to teachers and always has been. It is currently free to families and students. The Magnetic Alphabet app is like a couple of dollars. Although there is a light version of it and you get all of the letters and everything, you just get some other features so you can download that. I try to make sure like things that I'm sharing are not going to cost. Nobody's got any money right now.
No.
So I don't see any other questions coming in, but I am not in a rush. Thank you, Mike and Naomi, for having me. I'm super excited. Tuesday, we're going to be talking about writing, because you can't have reading if you don't have writing. You can't have writing if you don't have reading. Gotta have it all.
It's like we had a plan when we put this together.
I know.
It's
and
awesome.
Then we'll be doing problem solving and communication, because you need the whole package. All the kids need the whole package. So the next webinar, you register for it at the same place?
I put it in the chat bar. It's our website. It's at4nj.org, and then search for the webinars page, and all of the links are there, including webinars presented by other speakers as well. So Beth, thank you. I'm glad we went longer. It was well worth the extra 15 minutes.
Absolutely. I might even stop to take a breath on Tuesday, possibly.
Let's see. Let's not commit to anything yet.
No, thank you guys so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. Thanks. We'll see you guys next week, hopefully.
Yep.
Thanks, Beth. See ya.